Fraud, kickbacks, and money laundering, all recent charges against Mississippi public officials. While those crimes cost them their jobs, their pension checks, funded by your tax dollars, are still being sent to prison.
I apologize.
The head of Mississippi's prison system now heading to prison himself. Chris Epps pleaded guilty to federal charges for money laundering conspiracy, forcing him to forfeit his 2 Mercedes-Benz vehicles and his 2 homes. But Mississippi taxpayers are still funding his retirement.
If you are embezzling, you're taking kickbacks, you're betraying the public trust, then why should you be entitled to tax dollars for your retirement for the rest of your life?
The Public Employees Retirement System of Mississippi, or PERS, allows state workers to collect their pensions after 25 years, even if they're found guilty of public corruption. We're talking some big-time officials that are making quite a bit of money in the state of Mississippi, right?
Right. We've got right now over 6 individuals who've pled guilty during my time in office who are all making over $100,000 a year. That means their retirement initially, their base retirement will be $50,000+.
105 public officials in all, according to Pickering, who pleaded or have been found guilty and are still collecting state retirement. People like
Shelley Palmertree, former circuit clerk of Warren County, is sitting in state prison right now, and she embezzled almost, if not over, $6 million from the taxpayers of Warren County, and she's drawing her retirement while she's in prison.
And former Camp Shelby cafeteria manager Jerry Howard, accused of stealing $100,000 worth of food from the Youth Challenge Academy and sentenced to 8 years in prison.
There's an issue of justice here.
But taxpayers in other states aren't paying pensions for prisoners. 25 states, including Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, have laws that require felons to forfeit their retirement. But Mississippi doesn't. Last year, I know there was a House bill that was looking at possible legislation for removing pensions for felons.
House Bill 31 last year would have precluded anybody who pled guilty or was found guilty of public corruption in Mississippi of accessing and withdrawing the taxpayer portion of their retirement. It was a good piece of legislation.
But the bill never made it out of committee.
We thought it was an excellent way to persecute the beneficiaries who might be innocent, and so we chose not to act on it. I mean, I think the bill would have to have a lot of work.
Couldn't there be legislation that was drafted kind of creatively to protect dependents?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But it seems like the people who keep drafting it don't want to be creative about it. And in the committee system, in the Appropriations Committee, we're pretty hurried up on everything. We spend most of our time on 106 bills that deal with the budget.
I know Alaska is one of them that says, you can award the forfeited pension to a spouse, a dependent, or a former spouse. So Mississippi lawmakers could do something in the same vein, right?
Yeah, we probably could do something like that.
Another concern for Frierson, taking away the money they personally contributed to their retirement.
Whether they commit a crime or not, they have money from their own pocket in there, and how are we going to deal with that?
PERS is a large trust fund, mostly invested in the stock market, which means the money available for retirement fluctuates with the economy.
The state does have to pay the state share, and then on top of that we infuse cash from time to time, like an emergency fashion, to shore up the fund in bad economic times.
So with the state paying in most of that system, I mean, I guess wouldn't you think that would play into the ability of taking that pension away?
Yes, I would. That would give you cause to do it. But like I say, every bill I've seen drafted so far was aimed at the beneficiaries as well as to the person who might have committed the crime.
What is the penalty? There's got to be some penalty, some consequences. There ought to be some true penalty and fine in place. And this is one way that we could really put some teeth in Mississippi law.
Moving forward, Frierson said he hadn't seen any similar legislation being proposed so far this year that would revoke pensions. We reached out to Representative Greg Haney, who presented last year's bill. He told us he's made some changes and resubmitted the bill again this year. But Haney said he was told by Frierson that it will not come out of committee again.